Good morning. It is so good to be able to join you live from the sanctuary. I wish that you could be here with me. I wish that it was safe enough for you to be here. But although we cannot yet be together in this building in person, we have all gathered together to worship in a great sanctuary of the Spirit. Our sanctuary is made not of glass windows and wooden floors, but of woven hearts. And so come, my friends, come into this sacred space that dwells among us, no matter how far apart each of us may be. Come into this community of comfort, challenge, and celebration. Come, and with hearts and minds open, let's worship together.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, you call me up because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
Good morning. The flaming chalice is the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the liberal religious tradition to which this congregation belongs. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it with me at this time. As we kindle this flame, we recommit ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to build a Unitarian Universalist community that transforms lives and empowers people to serve the world. May the light of this flame be welcoming to all who seek a liberal religious home. Our opening hymn this morning is hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. I invite you to sing along at home.
For the mystic
Good morning. I'm Wendy Gates Corbett. I'm a member of this congregation. Whether you're joining us this morning from your smartphone, your smart TV, your smart laptop, wherever you are, whether you're in Raleigh or joining us from elsewhere in North Carolina or elsewhere in the world, we're glad you're here this morning. If you're visiting us for the first time, I offer you a special welcome. Here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh, we are intentionally inclusive. We are liberally religious and actively serving the common good of our shared world. That means whoever you are, wherever you are on your own religious journey, you're welcome here. That also means that as Unitarian Universalists, we seek wisdom and inspiration from many sources, but affirm our own individual experience and conscience as the best authorities for our own beliefs. That also means that we're committed to making our world more compassionate and just, and hope that you might join one of our many efforts to do so. If you're new to us, I invite you to fill out our visitor form at uufr.org/visitor form. If you do that, you'll start receiving our weekly e-newsletter. Please feel free to join us for social hour immediately after the service. There are instructions for how to do this on our website. Although we can't greet each other in person this morning, at this time I invite you to greet one another using the chat function on your screen.
And today I would like to read you a story called The Bad Seed. It is written by Jory John and illustrated by Pete Oswald. I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. Oh yeah, it's true. The other seeds, they look at me and they say, "That seed is so bad." When they think I'm not listening, they mumble, "There goes a bad seed." But I can hear them. I have pretty good hearing for a seed. How bad am I? You really want to know? Well, I never put things back where they belong. I'm late to everything. I tell long jokes with no punchline. I never wash my hands or my feet. I lie about pointless stuff. I cut in line every time. I stare at everybody. I glare at everybody. I finish everyone's sentences and I never listen. And I do lots of other bad things too. You know why? 'Cause I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. I just can't help it. Sure, I wasn't always this bad. I was born a humble seed on a simple sunflower in an unremarkable field. I had a big family, seeds everywhere. We found ways of having fun. We were close. But then the petals drooped, and our flower drooped. It's kind of a blur. There was a bag. Everything was dark. And then a giant! I thought I was a goner. I thought I was done for. I screamed and I hollered. But I was spit out at the last possible second. I flew through the air and landed under the bleachers with a huge thud. When I woke up, it was dark outside. A wad of gum had softened my fall. I felt okay, but something had changed in me. I'd become different. Entirely. I'd become a bad seed. A bad seed. That's right. I stopped smiling. I kept to myself. I drifted. I was friend to nobody and bad to everybody. I was lost on purpose. I lived inside a soda can. I didn't care, and it suited me. Until recently, I've made a big decision. I've decided I don't want to be a bad seed anymore. I'm ready to be happy. It's hard to be good when you're so used to being bad, but I'm trying. I'm making it one day at a time. Sure, I still forget to listen, and I still show up late, and I still talk during movies, and I do all kinds of other bad stuff. But I also say thank you, and I say please, and I smile, and I hold doors open for people, not always, but sometimes. And even though I still feel bad sometimes, I also feel kind of good. It's sort of a mix. All I can do is keep trying and keep thinking, maybe I'm not such a bad seed after all. Hey, look, there goes that bad seed. Actually, he's not that bad anymore. I heard that. This week, I would love for you to talk as families or reflect on your own about whether or not we can make choices about who we are, and whether sometimes going through a difficult time can start to shift the way that we feel and the way that we act in a way that we want to change. And I wonder if you can think about how you might want to change yourself. I am sending you so much love from Northeast Raleigh.
This is the time in our service when we acknowledge some of the joys and the sorrows of our community. If you'd like to share an individual joy or sorrow, I'd invite you to do so now using the chat function on your screen. I would also like to share a sorrow that I received by email. Our thoughts are with Lee Tate this morning as he and his family mourn the death of Lee's sister, Earlene in Wilmington, Delaware. We hold Lee and his family in our hearts in this sad time. And as we reflect on this sorrow and all the shared joys and sorrows and fears and hopes of our own lives, let's be together now for a time of stillness and silence, opening ourselves to that spirit within us, between us, and amidst us, called by many names, but known to every human heart, that leads us toward a fuller experience of life. After the silence, we will sing hymn number 1002, Comfort Me, if you have a hymnal at home. But for now, let's be together in stillness and in silence.
Speak for me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
The American rabbi and author Harold Kushner advises us to do things for people not because of who they are or what they do in return, but because of who you are. Here at UUFR, we strive to be generous people, and everything we do for people within our walls and in our broader community is only possible because of the generous financial support so many of you provide. However, we designate one Sunday each month as a Justice Sunday, and all the money collected during our offering is given to a local or national nonprofit organization. Today is our Justice Sunday, and our Justice Council has designated Habitat for Humanity as the recipient for today's offering. Our friends at Habitat for Humanity have provided a video from one of their clients, new homebuyer España, to tell us a little about the impact Habitat for Humanity's work has had on people's lives.
My name is Espania Norman. I am 36 years old. I have 4 kids, 3 boys and 1 girl. I work at Brookdale. I'm a med tech there. I've been a med tech for 3 years. I applied 2 times and got turned down. And then the 3rd time I applied for Habitat, I got accepted. So I was very excited, you know, it was very exciting for me. I think just everybody is excited. My kids is excited. My sister's excited. I guess they all look forward to giving me a housewarming party, I guess, when COVID is over. And I just feel like I just met my goal. I think the first thing I'm going to do is basically probably decorate the house like I want it to be decorated and organized, everything. I'm just really excited about decorating this house that I've waited to move in for this past year. I just want to thank everybody at Habitat, even the ones that were out on the site with us, teaching us how to build on our house. It means a lot to me. Everybody was very nice and helpful, even the volunteers. I just really want to thank everybody for helping me in this journey and being supportive.
We try to make being generous as convenient as possible. I invite you to see the instructions that will appear on your screen for our offertory. It's now time for our offering. Please be generous.
one power, invisible, yet we see it everywhere and every day. There's one power, indescribable, and yet we speak of it with every word we say. Mysterious until we know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names, and yet difference only dangerous when we forget that in our hearts we're all the same. We remember when we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you call it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power. One power, one power. One power is what we are. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon for the love that's most deep. It's one power, one power, one power. What we are is one power. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me.
Our reading this morning is by the 19th century Unitarian minister and transcendentalist Ralph Waldo Emerson. Please join me by reading the italicized words on your screen. I'll begin first. These roses under my window make no reference to former roses or to better ones. They are for what they are. They exist with God today. There is no time to them. There is simply the rose. It is perfect in every moment of its existence. Before a leaf bud has burst, its whole life acts. In the full-blown flower, there is no more. In the leafless root, there is no less. Its nature is satisfied, and it satisfies nature in all moments alike. But we postpone or remember. We do not live in the present, but with a reverted eye lament on the past, or, heedless of the riches that surround us, stand on tiptoe to foresee the future. We cannot be happy or strong until we too live with nature in the present, above time.
As a child, I was really fortunate to be able to try a bunch of different extracurricular activities. Many of the activities my parents signed me up for were at the library or at the YWCA. I did painting classes, dance lessons, martial arts, basketball and soccer teams, and more. One of the more unusual things that I got signed up for was modeling school. I don't really remember a whole lot of what was taught or what we did in modeling school, to be honest, but I do remember what we did for our graduation. We put on a little runway show. I was about 11 years old, and our instructors told us to choose a few outfits at home that might express who we were as individuals. We would then strut our way down the runway, showing off each outfit. I chose 3 outfits that I thought best represented different parts of who I was. I saw myself as a tomboy, so of course decided that I needed to dribble a basketball down that runway wearing my team uniform. I also saw myself as someone who expressed herself creatively through dance and movement. And so my second outfit was a super frilly pale green dress and pink ballet slippers. And I saw myself as a writer and free thinker and a bit of a nerd, and so my third outfit consisted of a tie-dye t-shirt, jeans, and a composition notebook and a pen. Well, let's just say that my wardrobe choices were a touch different than those of my classmates. Those other kids seemed mostly focused on just looking pretty as they walked down the runway. I remember being a bit embarrassed by the way that I stuck out in my ballet slippers, tie-dye, and jersey. I was only 11 and anxious at that age about being made fun of. And yet I still felt proud of my uniqueness and eager to show it off. I can't say that I took home any huge life lessons from modeling school. But the experience did come at a time when I was learning a very, very important couple of life lessons. I was learning about who I was as a person at that time in my life. And I was learning about how to show up authentically and bravely as my full self in the world, even if it sometimes felt risky. I know that many of you have had similar experiences off and on throughout your lives. Not maybe walking in a basketball uniform down a runway, mind you, but moments where you felt that you knew exactly how to express who you were, to share who you were, at least at that moment, with the world. But folks, it can also be so hard sometimes to know who we really are and to express it, even as adults who have had lots of time to get to know ourselves. There are so many aspects of our being, and sometimes we may be more aware of some of them than others. Think, for instance, of how often men might be told to try tapping into their more feminine side, or of how psychologists sometimes talk about embracing our shadow. There are sides to us that we have that sometimes we're not as aware of or haven't tapped into as much. We are relational beings, and many of us, especially those of us socialized as women in our society, may know ourselves mostly through the lens of the primary relationships in our lives, the roles that we play in our lives, which may be important to who we are, but are not all of who we are. Sometimes those roles and relationships help shape us as people, and other times we may take on certain roles and relationships in our lives because they are an expression, an authentic expression of who we are on our deepest level. For example, one person may become a parent unexpectedly, never thinking that this was something that they wanted in their life or would ever be good at, and then grow into the role as they welcome this new little person into their life. As they raise their child, they may, in the process, discover and develop new depths of love, patience, strength, and wisdom that they never knew that they had. And other people may know themselves all their lives as nurturing people, long, long before a child has ever come into their lives. For them, the choice to become a parent might be a natural expression of that part of them, a way of being themselves in the world, a mother, a father, a parent. I know that many of you who are parents experienced something life-changing when you had children and continue to experience life-changing moments every day, moments that both reveal aspects of your deepest being and also help shape who you are. Maybe you discovered that you were capable of a far, far deeper love than you ever imagined possible. Maybe you discovered that you're a lot more like your own mother or your father than you ever thought that you could be. And your parents have probably, or your children have probably helped shape you today every bit as much as you have helped shape them. But I know that sometimes when we see ourselves primarily as relational beings, when our sense of self is tied so strongly to the roles that we play in the vast network of relationships in our lives, we can sometimes lose track of other parts of our being, at least for a while. I know that when a child moves into a home of their own, or goes away to college, or even just simply grows up, parents can sometimes wonder who they are now that the nest is empty. Or when a spouse dies, a person may wonder who they are now that they are a widow. They may feel lost or no longer whole without their loved one. And sometimes, after a long career, a person may struggle with knowing their deepest self when they retire. Who are they without their coworkers and their place in a familiar workforce to tell them repeatedly who they are? It is common for parents with empty nests, new widows, and new retirees to experience both a sense of loss of identity, but also sometimes a sense of newly forming identity, forming there in the moment. And they may find themselves beginning to look more closely at other aspects of their being than the familiar relational ones. Who are they in addition to being the parent now of an adult child, or of being a widow, or being a former coworker? Like gems, we all have many facets to our being, many sides, many faces, all of which unite to form us at our deepest level. We are relational social beings. We're born into a complex network of relationships with other people, a family, a community, a world. These relationships form us as we live and grow. We are physical, embodied beings. We move through life in bodies and experience the world through our senses. We breathe, we move, we suffer physical pain and illness and injury. Our embodied experiences of life also help inform who we are. We are also emotional beings. We are sexual beings. We are spiritual beings. There's so many different sides to each of us, like shining jewels with many facets. And there may be parts of us that are hidden, even to us. You know, a few years ago, I had the opportunity to hear the author Karen Armstrong speak. She talked about the sacred mystery of every person and how sometimes she will find herself thinking or doing something and then pausing and wondering, now why in the world did I just do that? We can be mysteries even to ourselves. You know, there is a reason that the ancient Greeks just inscribed "Know thyself" on the temple of Apollo. If knowing ourselves was something super easy, something that doesn't take hard work, the maxim "know thyself" would never have needed to be inscribed on anything. The difficulty is not that we have failed to pay attention to ourselves or to explore our own hearts, minds, and souls adequately. It is just that there is so very much there inside of us to know. And what there is to know changes moment to moment because we are changing constantly. Our lives in this world are brief. So brief when considered against the backdrop of the lifespan of the universe. Our universe has already been here for 13.8 billion years and is expected to continue to exist in some form or another for many more years. So many more, in fact, that I am not actually going to try to pronounce the monstrously long and complex name for how many years. Our lives are like the briefest, tiniest sparks against the vast backdrop of time extending from the explosion of the Big Bang to the eventual heat death of the universe. And yet, even these tiny sparks, what they lack in length, they make up for in depth. There is incredible, unfathomable richness to our lives and to every moment of our lives if we go deep. I said earlier, and I'll say again, that we are like gems. We contain many facets, many aspects to our beings: mental, physical, emotional, relational. There are our memories, our awareness, our dreams, our passions, our sense of self, and our embodied experience are all together part of who we are. Within us, these many different facets touch and form at our center, the very core of our being, our deepest, truest, most authentic self. Some people might call this a soul. And like gems, we are also each formed by processes that were set into motion long, long ago. Last week, we explored how everything in existence, including us and all that dwells within us, love and hope and strength and more, all of us, has its origins all the way back in the Big Bang, alongside all that ever was, is, will be, or even could be in creation. The universe exploded into being and gave rise to everything, and over time, all that matter and energy formed galaxies, stars, planets, rocks, gems, and us. Formed us and everything in our lives that shapes who we are as unique, precious people. And I think it's important to understand from this perspective that each of us is a unique manifestation of the ultimate, of the ground of being that we explored last week, which some call God, or universe, or source, as we heard in our song earlier. We are all unique reflections, partial and yet perfect, of the ultimate, of the sacred potential that had been waiting at the dawn of time to express itself in multiple emerging forms. Our Unitarian ancestors, like William Channing, used to refer to the idea of being made in the likeness of God. Channing referred primarily to our reason, our creativity, our willpower, our capacity to love and forgive, and more, as being made in the likeness of God. All of these have their origins long ago, long before the existence of humans or any kind of life, just as we have our origins long ago, in the ultimate source from which all eventually emerged. Jewish and Christian believers, ancient and modern, talk about an idea that human beings are made in the likeness of God, in the image of God. That likeness, that image is beautiful, again, like a gem. Each of us is unique, tiny, incomplete, and yet a beautiful shard of all the fullness of the ground of being that we explored last week. But the processes that formed us are not only ancient, not only rooted in the dawn of existence as we understand it, but also far more recent. Our Time for All Ages today was a story about a little seed that was exploring how its past shaped who it was. It thought that because bad things had happened to it, that it was a bad seed. Some people had told it that it was a bad seed, and sometimes it even acted that way, so it believed that it was a bad seed. But it was learning day by day that there was so much more that made it who it was than just the bad things in its life. It was not just a victim who had had bad things happen to it or that had done some bad things in life. It had also experienced good things in life and had done good things. Maybe it was good. It had reasons to be grateful, to connect with and care with others. It was learning to look more deeply into itself, to more fully grasp its wholeness as a person. You know, we're living in a time right now that might make some of us feel like bad seeds at times. Our world has, in many ways, been upended like all those little seeds being tumbled out of the sunflower. The pandemic that we face right now has driven many of us into our homes for work, school, play, and more. And for others who do not have the ability to stay home, this is a scary time, a time when we face great risk, sometimes on a daily basis. Many of us are cooped up way more than we're used to. We've had friends sicken. Some of us have lost loved ones to this pandemic. Many of us have faced difficulties because of this pandemic. We may miss seeing our friends and family as often as we would like. We face disappointments like canceled vacations or postponed weddings. We struggle with fear, depression, anger, and more. The sunflower has toppled over. All of that makes it hard for us to be our best selves. We may find ourselves snapping at our spouses or children. We may find ourselves taking risks that we feel guilty about later because the weight of isolation was too painful to tolerate forever. And we may have told ourselves that we should be focusing right now on bettering ourselves or accomplishing something. And yet the most we've accomplished is finishing another favorite show on Netflix. All of this may make us feel like bad seeds. This pandemic will undoubtedly play a part in shaping who we are as individuals and as a community. Everything that happens in our lives, good and bad, shapes us in big and small ways, just as we in turn shape the world and the people around us in big and small ways. But perhaps this time that we're going through will make us more empathetic, or make us take things like the company of loved ones less for granted. Or perhaps it will inspire one of our children to become an epidemiologist, or maybe a teacher specializing in innovative forms of remote education. Who knows what the future may bring because of this time? Nor is this difficult time the whole of the story. There are other times in our lives that also help make up our story. Times of joy, of hope, of love. They too help shape who we are, and those times are not just in the past shaping who we were, but also in the present, even in this difficult time, shaping who we are becoming. We are beings who are constantly in the process of becoming. In this way, I must actually break away from our earlier metaphor. In this way, we are not entirely like gems. We are not solid, static, and clear-cut as jewels. We are dynamic. We are constantly changing. We are in constant motion. Cells replacing cells in our bodies, bodies moving through the world, emotions shifting, minds thinking and mulling and understanding and forgetting, selves changing and growing. And we are full of potential, much of it untapped, some of it still unknown to us. And when we take the time to explore our deepest selves and nurture ourselves, we can grow as people. We can explore who we love, how we love, and become even more loving, for example. Or we can uncover what exactly it is that gives us the deepest sense of peace or joy, and make space for those things in our lives so that peace and joy can grow within and around us. We can learn about our own capacities for patience, generosity, or gratitude, whatever you have inside you, and create ways to encourage ourselves to grow even more in those areas. I encourage you to explore the depths of your beautiful self. Your truest, most authentic self is like a precious gem hidden within a cave. You are priceless and irreplaceable, of inherent worth and dignity. You gleam with an inner light. You have many facets, some of which you may never have fully explored before. That beautiful gem deserves to be seen by the world. Bring yourself out into the light and let yourself shine for all to see. Appreciate your own inner richness and sacred potential. You have your origins in the infinite. Recognize how amazing you are and how necessary to the lives of those around you and to the better world that we hope to create. Allow yourself to be true to yourself in the ways that you express yourselves, moment to moment. And recognize that you are truly beautiful, like a priceless gem, and becoming ever more so with each and every passing moment. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. And now please join in our closing hymn. It's number 128 if you have a hymnal at home, for All That Is Our Life. I hope that you will join us for a social hour in one of our Zoom rooms after the service. It is time now for us to extinguish this flame and bring today's time of worship to a close. As we return to our lives, may we do so in peace, in joy, and above all, in love. Amen, and blessed be.